Hello and welcome to Introduction to Sketchup. My name is Steven and I am a digital service technician here with RPL. And I'm just going to give you the basic overview of SketchUp and how to get started. So if you never used SketchUp online before, you just go to sketchup.com and you'll come to this page right here. And if you haven't created an account yet, you have to create an account. I'm already logged in, so I can't walk you through that step, but it's pretty simple. If you have a Gmail account, you can just automatically use your Gmail account, or if you don't want to, you can just create a separate account without using your Gmail. And I'm just going to go over and switch tabs here. So I'm going to start a new file. These are the basic kind of menus that we have here, but we can just go create new, and you can choose between these three templates right here. And I'm just going to go and select feet and inches. So I'm going to click this. There we go. Might take a little time to start up there because we are using a web-based software. So once you open SketchUp, you'll get this figure right here, right on the main page and everything. This is just kind of here for measurements. It's been in all the previous SketchUp versions. You'll get a little person here kind of for measurement purposes and everything. And since it's a 3D software, a 3D application, we're basing everything off the axes right here. So this red line, green, and blue. So where it's all meeting up right here, we can start to use this as our guide and everything. So I'm just going to delete this figure actually. So I'm going to select it by just clicking on it with the left mouse button and just press delete on the keyboard, and there we go. So all of our tools are actually on the left-hand side right here. And I'm going to just kind of start by drawing a simple box. Scroll down here to this menu. And this is where we can draw our shapes. We have all of our shapes in this menu, and I'll go over this in a little bit, but I'm just going to draw a simple square. And right now it's standing up. Let me undo that. So I just did, I'm using a Mac here, so I'm just use Command Z to get rid of that. So I just want to draw it flat actually. So we have our basic 2D square. So if we wanted to make this 3D, we'll have to actually use another tool. So if we go right below where we selected our rectangle, and we're going to select this menu right here. This is the menu with the little square icon and the arrow pointing up. It's called push and pull. I'm going to select that. And we're just going to click on the face of that 2D square that we just drew. And voila, we have our 3D shape. So if we wanted to say, this is too long, we needed to make it shorter, we can kind of click on the center of your mouse button, the scroll wheel. If you press down on it, it'll bring up our orbit tool. We could just orbit to the back of this object right here and just push it in a little bit. And we can do it for all sides. So we can push that side in, we can push the front, we can push the left side or the right, and we can push underneath as well. So that's how that kind of works. So the push and pull tool, you'll be using this a lot to actually create your shapes and everything. So do another little demonstration here with the line tool. So a few choices above that is our line tool. We have a freehand tool, which I'll kind of go over later. But if you select the line tool, and let's see, I wanted to add a line to draw a simple house. I'm going to find the midpoint. So if you just move your mouse along the edge here, you can see that's our endpoint. And if we move, we'll get this blue circle, and that's our midpoint. So we're going to click right here. So left click once and just move our mouse to the back. Make sure it stays perpendicular with that green. So if we, go off kilter, it's going to give us a crooked line. So just go straight to the back and select midpoint, or click on midpoint. And we just drew a line on this top of this box here. So now another tool I'm going to show you is the move tool. So we should get this little cross right here with the arrows. And I'm going to select the midpoint of this line right here. And I'm going to hold down the up arrow on the keyboard to kind of constrain it. We don't get a lopsided roof here. And I'm just going to raise the roof up. There we go. So we have kind of a basic shape for a house. And this is how you'll kind of, if you have a line or you're trying to move an edge, yeah, you can just click, like if I wanted to move this edge out, I can use the move tool to accomplish that. So if I wanted to add any more shapes, like I can still use my line tool, and if I want to connect the line right here. So now I have another line on the face of this house. So I have that. If I wanted to, I can even use the line tool to kind of draw my door frame right here if I wanted to. So click once, click again, move down, there we go. So we have a little door frame, or it might be a barn, so who knows. And as you can see, when I was drawing that line, if you check the lower right-hand corner, it'll tell you the height. So that's always good to kind of follow your measurements on your objects and everything. And if I wanted to, draw another line to put down the center of this, I can do that. Or you can just use the rectangle tool and draw a door that way, or a frame, to be a little bit more precise there. There we go. So that's how we can kind of do something really simple with some of the objects on the tool panel here. So let's say if I needed to erase anything, of course, I can press E on the keyboard. I'm not going to probably talk about hotkeys that much. I'll try to mention it, but it'll be a great tool if you familiarize yourself with the hotkeys while you're modeling your objects in SketchUp here. So if I needed to erase anything, I just press this eraser tool and I can come in and erase different lines. So I can just make sure I'm on the line. It should highlight blue once you click the left mouse button to erase any lines there. So I'm gonna undo that. And our top tool right here is the select tool. If you needed to hit the hotkey on the keyboard, is just our space bar to make sure we activate that select tool. So I am going to actually, let me use the select tool and I'll triple click on this, and then I'm going to move it to the back. So just move it back here, because I wanted to talk about other tools in our menu right here. So we have a rotated rectangle. I don't really use this tool that much, but it has this uses if you needed to do something kind of at a curve or angle, and you needed that rectangle and build something out. So you can use that. We have our circle, we have our polygon tool, then we have our text tool, 3D text tool. So this is actually pretty neat. So if I needed to, let's say, type in RPL, and if I want to choose a font, let me go Oswald, regular, height. You can change all these numbers if you wanted to, but even when you click and it brings up our letters right here, we can still manipulate these letters. So if we needed to move this around, bring it in a little bit more, we can do that. If I wanted to rotate this and stand this up, I'll just go where the move tool menu is located. Just click on that little notch there and excuse me. And then we can just click on rotate. It should bring up the protractor tool. And once we just kind of move the mouse, I'm not clicking anything, I'm just moving the mouse. We can move it to the center and we'll get that kind of purple dot. We can just click once and it's going to create a line for us. And so I'm just going to do it along the green axis. I'm going to click again and just rotate that up. There we go. So that's a way of doing that. And let's say we need to scale this. So we can go back to the same menu, select scale, and it'll give us these little green boxes at the end of every end or midpoint. And I can just left click on this and I can kind of adjust the lettering if I wanted to. So I can do that. I can even scale it down. So there's certain ways if you needed to manipulate anything, and that works the same way for the house as well. So if I needed to, let's say, scale this house down, let me go back to the select tool, click on this house, then go back to scale. So I can even scale this house down, and let me just kind of shift this over. So we can scale all the way down, we can scale it all the way up. And that's how that works. I can even scale it back like that, scale it forward. So there's a lot of ways that we can kind of play around with this in the software to kind of manipulate our shapes and get the desired shapes that we want. We have to select two or more for this function. Some of this function you can't really use because it's for the pro version. So I wouldn't worry about this too much. This is just outer shell. If you need to combine, two shapes, that's how that kind of works. I'm not going to really go over that, but I will show you if you needed to make a cone or anything like that, or a cylinder. Of course, we can just do it at our origin point where the axes meet right here. So click, and I'm gonna press P on the keyboard to activate our push and pull tool, and just push it all the way up, and there we go. So that's some of the ways that you can use the push and pull tool and also scale and move stuff around. So actually I'm gonna move our 3D text to the back. Sorry, I'm kind of isolating some of the shapes there. So I'm gonna click on move this back. There we go. And I'm also going to click on the cylinder and move this back so I can show you quickly on how to make a cone in SketchUp here. It's not like other 3D software where you have basic primitives. So you have a lot of shapes like Blender. You'll have spheres, you'll have hexagons, you'll have a lot of different shapes you can manipulate in that software and other kind of commercial software. But in SketchUp, you'll have to kind of create the shapes, the desired shapes that you want. So I'm going to select circle again, select circle, draw that out. And now I'm going to use the line tool to create kind of a triangle here. So I'm going to start from the center, click once, just move the mouse all the way up, click again. So it created an endpoint for us. And then I'm going to take the next line to the edge of this circle right here, the outer circle, and click the endpoint. Then I'm going to move the mouse inward to that center point and click again. And now we have our triangle shape here. And another tool that you're going to use as well is Follow Me. That is located in the same tool menu or bar in where the push and pull tool is at. So if we click this little notch again, and it'll bring up Follow Me right here. It's the second choice or second option there. Click that. And I'm going to select this face, and we can like move the mouse all the way around. So I'm not clicking anything right now. I'm just moving the mouse. As long as we bring it to this kind of point right there, it'll close it off. And if you move the mouse maybe let me twist around here a bit. If we move it right there, it's only going to give us half a cone. So just make sure we're moving this all the way around. Click once, and we have our solid cone shape there. And if we need to close it off, because anytime you draw some of these custom shapes, they will be open. So we can just use the line tool, click line and click endpoint, move the mouse to the other endpoint, click again, and there we go. We close this off. So now, and I have to show you another feature. If we wanted, let's say we wanted to push and pull this shape some more, we're going to get that little cross sign and we click on it. It's going to say cannot push / pull curved or smooth surfaces. So to fix that, I'm going to jump over to this menu over here on the right side of our screen. Just going to click here. Oops, sorry, that's 3D Warehouse. Let me close this. Because some of these menus you can, it's easy to kind of forget things and where stuff is located at. I think it's in the, not the tags. There you go. So the little eyeglass display tab right here. And I'm just going to select hidden geometry. So I select that. So now I can push and pull this surface out. So whereas before we couldn't push and pull the surface because it's a smooth surface, now it made it editable for us to do so. So this works if you like I said, if you have a smooth surface and you needed to push and pull some parts of that surface, you would definitely have to turn on hidden geometry to do so. And just to close this menu, I could just click this close panel, the little arrow in the corner there. That's how you can do some of the basic shapes inside this menu, inside SketchUp here. Let me just kind of go over some of these other tools that we have here. I don't really use this function a lot, but this is kind of, if you created a scene and you needed to walk through, you go to this tab. This is to position the camera. This is to kind of look around the scene and everything. So I'm not going, like I said, I'm not going to go over that because we don't really use that. Well, I don't really use that tool that much. So. And these other tools down here, we already kind of used the orbit tool, but if you needed to locate the orbit tool and you don't have it, that third kind of scroll wheel on your mouse, you could just go click at the bottom here and you have orbit and then you have shift. And another neat trick, so if you don't really have to go to this menu to use the pan tool, if you make sure I have the select button selected. So if we click the scroll wheel, it'll bring up the orbit tool. And if we hold down shift on our keyboard, it'll bring up the pan tool. So we'll get that little hand and it'll be able to kind of move the whole canvas to where we need it to be. So that's how that kind of works. So you don't really need to go over to the menu unless you really have to. And some of the other tools in this menu, we have zoom, we have zoom window, and then zoom extents is the last option here. So it'll just kind of click on zoom extents. It will just kind of frame everything on that canvas here. And then we have this menu right here, which is we have our measure, tape measure there. We have our dimensions, so we can kind of measure out our models on the canvas here. And we have a little text tool. So I'll just show you how this kind of works. If we click once, it's giving us the dimensions, but we can kind of change and say, leave little notes for people basically. So we can say, change color. There we go. So that's how that kind of works. And we can also, if we don't really need to have this there, we can just click delete and that'll go away for us. And we have our selection plane, so we can kind of dissect certain objects on the canvas or certain models here on the canvas. We have our protractor tool. This is just axes and everything, so we can create axes. Like I said, some of the, if you used SketchUp in the past before, you might have noticed some of these menus have changed when when they move to the web version. So just to keep in mind, like some things have changed and some things have remained the same. So I am actually going to show you how to color really quickly by just clicking on the paint bucket tool right here. And below that, let me show you, we have sample material, so we can just kind of sample the color. If you forget where the color is located at in the materials panel, that will be the quickest way to kind of just sample that color and start to paint. But I'll show you once I go over here and select the material that I'm looking for. Let me close some of these panels. Oh, okay. There we go. Let's say I wanted to maybe select carpet, fabrics, leathers, and materials in here. Select that. Now we have that material on this house here. I can put it on the roof. And that kind of gives us a nice little pattern on the object there. I mean, and I can kind of go in and select a lot of different materials. So we have water right here. And since I have hidden geometry on this shape, I can just do it by section. I can do tile. So tile the side of this. Tile on the letters. So there's a lot of things that we can do. We also can 3D, some people use this software to create their 3D objects and everything. So if you needed to do that, we have to go up to the menu right up here. Let me just make sure I press select so I don't paint anything else. We have export right here. So we can do a direct STL download, and most 3D models, most 3D software will process STL files and OBJ files. So you can just select STL right here. OBJ is down here, but this is the cloud-based process stuff. So, and all these other file formats work for other software on the market. So if you needed to transfer to different software, you can kind of scroll through and see what is available for you to use in another software. I can kind of go over these other menus as well. We have a few other options over here. Actually, let me close some of these. So display, close the materials. There we go. Outline, we'll need an upgrade for that. So we are not going to be able to use that. But this little instructor tab, so anytime you get lost using the software, you can just click the instructors tab and you can kind of go through and use this to kind of guide yourself on how to use some of the buttons over on the left-hand side here. So even if, let's say, I know I didn't show this tool, but this is our arc tool menu. So let's say if I wanted to create a 2-point arc, and you see the little instructors panel showing me how to use that tool. So I'm going to zoom in. Now I'm just going to put a 2-point arc on this doorway right here. So I'm going to start off from the endpoint to endpoint. I have to move this bow up a little bit in the middle. I'm just moving the mouse. I'm not clicking anything. So now I'm going to click, and it created a 2-point arc for us. And we can do 3-point arcs. We can do half arcs. Oops, inside this menu. So if you need to just kind of go through and create arcs, you can do so and everything. So this, you have a lot of tools at your disposal to kind of create custom shapes as well. So maybe I can kind of demonstrate that. I'll use the freehand tool, which is just a squiggly line. I can kind of draw here. And let's see if this might work. It might not work. So I have a little shape at the end of this squiggly line. I'm going to try to use the follow me to kind of help us create a custom shape. And here we go. Yep. And it works. So this is how we can use the follow me tool, and it works with the line tool as well. So if you need to create a straight pipe or anything like that, or a pipe with, a precise angle. Um, Basically, you'll just draw a shape on the end of the line and just use the follow me tool to kind of follow the lines all the way through. And you can see over in the instructors panel, it's showing you how to do that. So I'm going to close the instructors panel, go to another panel here. And this is the 3D warehouse. So the 3D warehouse, you have a lot of people who have built models already. So if you're looking for a particular model, like a lamp or a chair or anything like that, I can just kind of select any of these shapes, or I can even go into the categories and see what other models they might have. So film and stage, I can go in here, pick some lights. Actually, I'll maybe do some furniture. So I'll select furniture, and maybe I'll select this table. It's going to import the model into the canvas for us. And there we go. And I can just place it. There's a lot of cool 3D models already in the 3D model warehouse. If you needed to go that route to kind of download something for your scene or anything like that, you can kind of go there. And this is just the components menu. So these are all the components that we use or that we created that's in our scene right now on the canvas. So we have that. We already went over materials. And then we have styles. So let's say you wanted to change up this style. We can select from the different styles that they have in the styles menu right here. So if you need to do color sets, sorted styles, we have default styles, we have photo modeling. So I'll just click this as an example. And we have sketchy edges. So that works like that. So there's a lot of different styles you can choose from in this menu right here to make your project kind of stand out. So I'm going to go back to the default style here. Might take some time to load. There we go. And we'll exit this out. We have tags. So tags is basically, I can hide parts of this model. If I have a very complex model, I can just kind of go in, click on the eyeball, and it'll hide certain parts of this model for us. So if you ever need to go in and kind of do some detail work, you need to kind of like work on a certain part and you want to just close one part, this will be the way to go. So that's how we can do that. Scenes is just setting up our different angles here. If we were kind of doing some presentation boards, or you needed to do certain perspectives for a client or for yourself, you can do that over in the scenes menu. We already went over display. And then we have our info model. So if you need to choose different lengths or units of measurements, you can kind of go in here and get a little bit more precise. We have length, snapping, snap interval. We have angles. So we can be a little bit more precise in the software and everything. So that's how we can kind of access that in the model info. Then I think, yeah, I'm about to say this one, the solid inspector, we won't be able to use because you'll need to upgrade the software. But that's pretty much it. And I'm just going to show you how to save. So if we click on title and click on this SketchUp right here, you already have a few things saved already. So I'm just going to say dry run 2. And I'm just going to click save here. And it's saved for us. So anytime you use the web version of this software, you're going to have to save the project in order to log out. And I can finally log out if I wanted to. I'm just going to click home. It's going to take us back. Dry run 2 is already saved. Now I don't have to worry about that. It's saved to the cloud. I'm just going to click account and then just sign out here. Yes. Might take a little bit of time. Like I said, it's the web version. So there we go. And that's pretty much it for kind of the basic intro to SketchUp here. If you get lost or anything, like I said, we have LinkedIn Learning. We have, a ton of resources on YouTube. Then you can find resources here on the SketchUp website. So the blog, the forums, SketchUp campus, trainers. So there's a lot of resources to kind of help you kind of navigate your way in SketchUp. And this is the price per year. For the year of for personal use to use SketchUp, and then you have professional. You have something for higher education, primary and secondary. So there's a lot of options that you can kind of play around with for the SketchUp software, and that's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of show you the basic overview of SketchUp. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And thanks for watching, and see you soon.